Hello, my name is Ethan Dean, and I'm the organizer of the Citizen Scientist Oral Health Project. And we are rejuvenating lost gum tissue with cannabis oral rinse. We remove calcified plaques with a cannabis oral rinse. And tooth decay is caused from harmful effects of calcified plaques and oral plaques in general. And tooth decay leads to poor oral health, and that leads to poor overall health in many, many ways. So, uh, bottom line is, cannabis can be uh, more beneficial than anything that's available that I've seen. And so I discovered this back in 2015, and here we are today. Um, I filed a petition with the DEA. I sent it off certified mail today. They should get it on Friday. So I have it here in my hand, copy that I'm going to read for you. All right, so I'm going to put my glasses on because my eyes are a little bit tired. Spending too much time on the computer. So I'll be glad to get this behind me and start spending a little bit more time out with Mother Nature. So, petition to remove from schedules cannabis. Exhibit A, statement of the proposed rule. The proposed reclassification in the form proposed by the petitioner. The rule placing marijuana in Schedule 1 is repealed due to removal from schedules because cannabis formulations have efficacy in human oral health conditions far exceeding current oral health maintenance protocols, demonstrating 1. Gum tissue rejuvenation, 2. Prevention of gum tissue loss, 3. Maintaining good tooth alignment with healthy gum tissue, 4. Realignment of teeth, closing gaps between teeth when gum tissue returns. I have witnessed that and have it documented in pictures. The closing of the gap, everything I'm talking about. Number 5, prevents accumulation of oral plaques. 6, removes calcified oral plaques. 7, seals micro openings in teeth. 8, reverses gingivitis. 9, prevents gingivitis. 10, prevent bad breath. 11, prevents bleeding gums due to infection. Stops gums from bleeding. 13, prevents tooth decay. 14, the Surgeon General report from 2000 states that you cannot be healthy without good oral health. Number 15, poor health cause pain and suffering. 16, overall health care cost can greatly be reduced through good oral health. 17, improved mental health from the elimination of the stress of poor health and the financial burdens, thus improving the quality of life. This is a petition for the removal of marijuana from scheduling under Controlled Substance Act and classify as essential for human health. The consideration of the appropriate classification of cannabis should be made on the basis of scientific and medical evaluation required by the CSA and in accordance with constitutional common law. This petition also is for the study of the human endocannabinoid system that was discovered in 1992, with emphasis on oral health benefits from cannabis extract and formulations of, and in general the entire endocannabinoid system as it is currently understood in the scientific community, that virtually every organ in the body has CB1 and CB2 receptors. All right. Exhibit B, Statement of Grounds. Introduction of argument. This petition is based on consideration of my investigations and documented findings not examined in prior proceedings, and with the emergence of optimal oral health findings in human health using marijuana cannabis extract since prior scheduling proceedings that cast in a new light. The Controlled Substance Act specifies 8 factors that determine control of a drug or substance or its removal from schedules. And that's what we're after, removal. The CSA states that these 8 factors will be considered when making any finding regarding a drug's accepted medical use, safety for use, abuse potential, dependence liability. All 8 of these factors must be considered in determining the scheduling or rescheduling of cannabis. A review of the scientific and medical record of these factors supports recognition of the accepted medical use of cannabis in the United States and requires its rescheduling under the CSA. All right, so we've got 8 things to address. First one, its actual or relative potential for abuse. And this is how I answer it. I personally do not know how I could abuse cannabis myself. So my potential for abusing cannabis is 0. I cannot get high or stoned from cannabis. And yet my wife can and has had hallucinations from cannabis. However, what constitutes abuse? My wife is responsible for herself. She knows how cannabis affects her, and she doesn't need government oversight to be responsible. Many people cannot get stoned or high from cannabis, and it is said that they have developed a tolerance. I theorize the human endocannabinoid system is severely malnourished, and that care must be used when nourishing begins, in order to avoid ill effects. And this is easily controlled in gradually increasing cannabinoids into the system to a saturation level to a point where the body is capable of avoiding a shock to the endocannabinoid system upon delivery, thus allowing the endocannabinoid system to develop an alignment within the human body as it becomes nourished with essential cannabinoids. All right, now number 2, we got to answer scientific evidence of its pharmacological effect, if known. All right, so I answer this way. The 3 most beneficial pharmacological effects of cannabinoid are not well known. I present 3 visual, measurable documentation of efficacy in 3 areas: gum tissue rejuvenation, calcified oral plaque removal, and as a sunscreen. Science has yet to scientifically explain how these 3 beneficial human health outcomes derived directly from cannabis use are achieved. With regards to using the cannabis-based mouth rinse, in the case of my wife, beginning with a swish and spit, 1 hour before a night of sleep, she tolerated the cannabis mouth rinse well, with no ill effects. Within 2 weeks, she was able to swish and swallow with no ill effects. Her gums had stopped bleeding, her breath was much better, and a previously exposed root surprised her with new tissue, all in a matter of weeks. Number 3, the state of current scientific knowledge regarding the drug or other substance. Now, it's kind of a shame that they classify this as a drug, but my answer, scientific knowledge is suppressed. Number 4, its history and current pattern of abuse. All right, this is a beauty here. Lord have mercy. From my perspective and my history, I feel the current pattern of abuse is in suppression of human health benefits of cannabis. I believe the pattern of abuse in cannabis history roots back to the unconstitutional Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 and its oppression on the American people through 1969. So, I don't know how many of you know, but in 1969, Timothy Leary's case was all the way to the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, and they unanimously ruled the 1937 Marijuana Tax Act unconstitutional. All right, so let's get back to this petition here. Through 1960. Furthermore, then, in violation of all state and federal constitutions, and then I cite this from the Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 17. No bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts shall be passed. Now, what that means is we have guaranteed rights in our bills of rights and declarations of rights in our state's constitutions. These are guaranteed and these are God-given. No man gives us our rights. So what this means is you cannot pass a law that's going to diminish our rights or take away our rights. All right, so let's get back to this. So I'm going to pick back up here. Furthermore, then, in violation of all state and federal constitutions, and to usurp the loss of the power of unconstitutional enforcement actions pertaining to cannabis, the Controlled Substance Act of 1970 is enacted, and marijuana scheduled as it was and not based in science. Science cannot rejuvenate lost gum tissue. Cannabis does rejuvenate lost gum tissue. Cannabis has a centuries-long, world-over history in human health benefits. Across the common land, cannabis was once free of legislative government law in the USA. Across the common land, cannabis was part of United States pharmacopoeia. All right. Number 5, the scope, duration, and significance of abuse. This is how I answer it. This depends on perspective. The benefits provided from nature, in plant, in human, providing nutrition that supports the immune system and living free of harmful effects of man-made chemicals and toxins is clearly understood. And yet cannabis legislation promotes poor oral health. Toxic teeth may well be the leading cause to many, if not most, illnesses and chronic conditions, causing great suffering and financial expense, greatly reducing the quality of life, which is directly resulting from decades of restricting the people's constitutional health freedom and liberty with the scheduling of cannabis and not investigating the positive effects. So for most of my life, I believe the only research that was allowed by the National Institute of Health or funded by the National Institute was to the negative aspects of marijuana or cannabis. It's only in recent times that a few select studies are happening. Number 6, what, if any, risk there is to public health? The denial of constitutional rights to therapeutic access to cannabis denies all Americans optimal oral health, as documented by and through my investigations, may well be the greatest risk to public health. That's regarding cannabis, right? It's psychic or psychological dependence liability. Cannabis does not have a physical dependence. I suggest that if there is a dependency, it possibly may truly only be a perceived dependence from a wish to be healthy and happy. And lastly, number 8, whether the substance is an immediate precursor of a substance already controlled under this chapter. So, let's see. Cannabis, a natural source of dronabinol that is created after the decarboxylation of the natural THCA. Dronabinol, that's THC. The ingredient of marinol, a Schedule III drug. There are no grounds to schedule cannabis in a more restrictive schedule than marinol, and moreover, it should be removed from scheduling because of the documentation of efficacy in promoting good overall health through optimal oral health, and thus I contend that cannabis should be classified as essential for human health. All right. Part 2. Description of new relevant information. And I write, according to the United States Library of Medicine, there are thousands of scientific and medical articles about marijuana, cannabis, cannabinoids, and THC that have been published. A considerable part of cannabis research is relevant to the discussion, but none more than the documented breakthrough discoveries with visual, measurable, repeatable, beneficial outcomes of oral health of human subjects for conditions that apply to all humans. These discoveries should be a foundational marker for science to investigate, understand, and then explain in textbooks. According to advertising by Colgate during the time when I wrote my research proposal, the position of the United States National Library of Medicine was that if you have lost gum tissue, it's gone forever and it's not coming back. Colgate still advertises without reference to the United States National Library of Medicine position on the issue. And so this area of science or nutrition appears to be in a state of fluctuation. From all I'm able to ascertain on the subject indicates that science could not rejuvenate lost gum tissue and stated it was not possible in the United States National Library of Medicine. Yet, once I began discussing and pursuing oral health with cannabis and hold in my hand independent results from a dentist, within months, I go to jail, and the National Institute of Health funds $1.8 billion United States taxpayer dollars under the heading Revolutionizing the Root Canal, only to announce at the conclusion of the study was that science still cannot rejuvenate lost gum tissue. How about that? Cannabis extraction rejuvenated lost gum tissue for me, my wife, and others. Now, what's next is it's a scientific document, so to speak. It's a write-up on a study. CUREUS. Curis. The study is a comparison of efficacy of cannabinoids versus commercial oral care products in reducing bacterial content from dental plaque. So this isn't about removing or preventing plaque. This is just about minimizing the bacteria in there. And the conclusion: the cannabinoids have the potential to be used as an effective antibacterial agent against dental plaque associated bacteria. Moreover, it provides a safer alternative for synthetic antibiotics to reduce the development of drug resistance. Now, in a petri dish, they had CBD, CBC, CBN, and CBG. And I think CBGA. So, scientific study. I'm not a scientist. I can't do a scientific study. I can just make observations, do investigations, and take pictures. All right. So, lastly, here in my hand, I have a notice by affidavit. And the title here: Affidavit of Harm by Decay Leading to Toxic Teeth on Overall Health. And what that's saying is harm by decay leading to toxic teeth, overall health, harm on overall health. And the beneficial efficacy in human oral health outcomes using cannabis extract. All right. So now comes AFINT. One of the people is seen in the Michigan Bill of Rights, Article 1, Section 2, Michigan Constitution, jurors in this court of record do make the following claims. I did get this notarized, by the way. I have personally experienced gum tissue rejuvenation and calcified oral plaque removal with use of extract of cannabis and formulations of in the form of oral solutions. And I continue to, when available to me, experience good oral hygiene with the prevention of gum tissue loss and the prevention of oral plaque accumulation by means of oral use of cannabis extract and formulations of. It is only through gum tissue rejuvenation throughout my entire mouth that I was alerted to one area that did not rejuvenate. This failure to rejuvenate and the poor condition of the area was the only thing alerting me to discover my long-time undiscovered toxic tooth. This tooth received a crown, and at some point afterwards, the nerve died. I had difficulty getting a diagnostic and did manage to find a dentist with equipment that applies electrical current to check for nerve sensitivity. Never in my lifetime, had that tooth or any other tooth of mine ever been evaluated for the condition of nerve health after a crown had been installed. I had to go to more than one dentist for extraction. A lifelong and very good dentist told me that there was no indication that there was anything wrong with that tooth and that he would not recommend or refer it for extraction and that he would not extract the tooth. So I walked away with that toxic tooth in search of answers. After having that tooth extracted, I have been getting healthier, seriously, gaining weight and muscle mass, and believe that tooth caused me to suffer with 27 chronic conditions. They're listed in my personal notes and they're available upon request, including debilitating migraines for decades. That was just one. One of 27 chronic conditions that are gone. I got that tooth out of there. All right, back to this affidavit. I have not suffered a migraine in the last 2 years, and most of my chronic conditions have faded and or have completely gone away since having that tooth extracted. And as well, all my dead teeth were extracted as they were without immune function. The pictures of calcified oral plaque removal displayed online at www.oralhealthwithcannabis.com, came from an independent dentist evaluation of and with cannabis-based oral rinse formulations, December 2015. With my cannabis formulations, my wife experienced gum tissue rejuvenation. The pictures are on said website, oralhealthwithcannabis.com. In a recent evaluation using a high CBN with low THC and low THC content formulation with a subject that had no noticeable gum tissue loss, he, however, was concerned with dark blotching of the oral tissue and agreed to participate in an evaluation. So beginning with plaque disclosing tablets and pictures, we began an evaluation on this specific formulation, observing the state of oral plaques. We were not observing for gum tissue rejuvenation as there was no indication of tissue loss. Yet when observing the fading of the dark blotches, I observed gum tissue growth and tooth realignment of a gap between two teeth that had closed. And the low THC content failed to remove calcified oral plaques. And I do have the pictures and his audio testimonial. Yet due to fear, he's going to stay anonymous. All right, and then the rest of it is just the formality of the affidavit. And so yeah, this fear thing is a little out of hand. In over, say, 5.5 years, there is not one medical provider that is willing to openly or publicly state, I see it. And they'll tell me, and they'll say things like, somebody needs to do something about this. But they're afraid, and I don't blame them. It sucks being in handcuffs, in the back of a police car, being taken to a jailhouse, getting fingerprinted, and your picture taken, and having your business shut down, and maybe you lose a license, you lose your ability to make an income, you get separated from your family. It's just, it goes on and on and on, and people are afraid, and I don't blame them. But if we don't stand up, they're just going to keep doing this. Call myself. They're just going to keep doing it. And we ain't having it. So apparently, my understanding is one petition took 9 years to get a response. My understanding is one of the more recent ones happened in 6 months. People are dying from toxic teeth. Dr. Thomas Levy, on the homepage of my website, I got a video of his. There's a little blue link there. It says Dr. Thomas Levy. It's a 1-hour talk. I recommend everybody listen to that. If you have a root canal, if you're considering getting a root canal versus an implant, I highly suggest that you listen to Dr. Levy. He is a heart surgeon. He claims 90% of heart attacks are from toxic teeth. He claims that the vast majority of breast cancer is from toxic teeth. He claims that the majority of inflammatory issues come from toxic teeth. I've heard some pretty terrible toxic teeth stories. Mine almost killed me. It killed my brother. And so anyways, that's where we're at. I'm giving them 30 days. I made a demand that they respond within 30 days because this is serious. And so this is just another step in the journey forward. And so I'm fighting for every one of you, everybody that's got a mouth, everyone that's alive, everyone that's going to be alive. You don't have to lose your teeth. You don't have to suffer with tooth decay. And you don't have to pay all those high dentist bills and all the high medical bills that come afterward. So I'll just close with, my understanding is there's 2 to 6 miles of tubules in the root of every tooth. And when the nerve is alive, that tooth has immunity. When that tooth has no immunity, those 2 to 6 miles, bacteria and fungi can sit 5 side by side, and they go unchecked. And it's just a shelter for producing. And if it's in a molar, when you chew down, Dr. Levy says that is more effective than a syringe in delivering the toxins directly into your lymphatic system. So, folks, this is really serious. This is life and death serious. So, anyways, the petition's out. DEA should have it in their hand Friday, and I sent it certified mail, so I'll be looking to get that card back next week. And God bless America. God bless humanity. And remember, it's God that can give you optimal oral health with a natural plant, cannabis. Amen.